What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Northern Nerdcast. This is episode 6 of Northern Nerd Chats. Joining me with Adam is the man himself, Colt Vahn from Deathloop, Jason Kelley. How are you this evening, sir? Thank you so
What
much
is
for coming
happening?
on.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to talk Deathloop and meet new good people and just talk games and creativity and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, first off, welcome back to Canada, because I mean,
Yeah, it's good to
the
be back.
yeah,
Even
you
though
yeah,
even though I'm in LA, but it's good to be back. For those that don't know, the joke is I was in Toronto all summer long shooting Mayor of Kingstown, the new Jeremy Renner, Taylor Sheridan show, and I was there from May until I think August, something like that. So as soon as I got back here, the video game comes out, and the Northern Nerd podcast hit me up to talk about, yo, can you be on my show? And I'm like, damn, I was just there. We could have done this live.
Well, it's I'm that this is actually my first question. Actually, it's more of a WTF moment. How did you convince pretty much Xbox to buy you a PS5?
Okay, so I did not convince them to buy me one. There's been, you know that game where you whisper into one person's ear one thing, and then they whisper what you said, and it gets down to like 30 people, and at the 30th person, you may have said apples, but by the time it gets to the 30th person, it's like skunk balls or something like that. I made a joke in Arkane asked me to do a little launch video live from the booth and just wish the gamers good luck and have fun with the game. So I did, and I jokingly mentioned that if anybody knew how to get a hold of a PS5 and the game, let me know. I could use one because I don't have one, and that kind of turned into a whole life of its own. I was just doing a joke, but a number of people reached out to me, offering a PlayStation 5 to me. And I knew how much these things are and how hard they are to come by. And the biggest reason I don't have one is, and I've shared this before on other casts, I have a brand new son, and the idea of me dropping coin on a gaming system that's going to take time away from me and money away from him, it just ain't gonna happen. And that's just me trying to be a good dad.
Absolutely.
But I wanted it. Turns out there was a gentleman, Jimmy Champagne, who runs at PS Ready on social media, and he offered one. And then the next day, one of the head of global marketing for Bethesda reached out and said, somebody has contacted us with a PS5 for you. Give us your address. When we get it, we'll forward it to you. So I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten the game, but one is on the way. And from what I understand, Jimmy at PS Ready offered, instead, since I was getting one, he offered the one he had for me, the second one that they had at their office. He offered that to Ozioma Akaka. So
Who plays Juliana?
Who plays Juliana. So both of us are going to be getting a PS5. We're both working actors out here in the game, in the hunt and in the struggle for our careers. We're getting some PS5s. We're getting the video game. I'll probably get on there and she'll probably pop up and murk me right away. And I suck at playing games, so it's been a long time since I've gamed. So I'm probably going to get murked a lot more than most. I think I'll be hitting that reset button. If there is a reset button. I don't know if there's a reset button on PS5.
Well, I mean, the ultimate reset button is just throwing your controller at your TV,
which I will do often and frequently.
So it's I actually see I have it behind me. I've promotion.
Yeah, I saw the product placement. This is kind of nice.
My one of my friends was telling me about it, and he gave it a really high review. So he's like, you got to check it out. I'm not like, I know about the story because obviously to do interviews, you kind of have to know the product. So I kind of jumped ahead to see what like the important things, like but I got to give you props, man. Like your lines are hilarious. Like the second, like as soon as you start up the game and she's driving the knife in your chest, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like that. And then you're like, I don't even know you, and just it's just the like the script that you acted for is brilliant. Like it's so well played out, and Adam will get there whenever he gets a PS5 or jumps on PC. But it's I'm loving it. I mean, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone in the terms of it feels almost like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term souls like demon souls. To me, that's what it kind of feels like, in the sense that you have to be good and you have to be willing to die a lot, which obviously is going to happen because your loop resets until you know where everyone's going to be at the same time, and then that's when shit goes down, as they say. So I got to give you props, because like Phil doing all the recording, like, so how, like, did you record throughout the whole pandemic, or was it pre-pandemic? Or
we started pre-pandemic. We started in January. January of 2021 of 2020. Because I actually just looked it up. We actually did a total of 14 sessions, plus an additional one to do two additionals to do all the trailers. It felt like more because there was a lot of content. There was a lot of copy and scripts to go to, but my actual character did 14 specific days. We started in January. I think in early February sometime, there was a session where me and Ozzy, who plays Juliana, we got to work together in the booth at the same time. And Bennett was in town. He was in France at the time, and he was back visiting in LA. And so the three of us were in the station, in the recording studio. The engineer, the engineer's in there doing his thing, and I'm looking kind of in the windowsill, because you got, like, there's always the booth and then there's a window into the engineering space, and there's a lineup of like 7 Grammys right at the bottom of the window, and I'm going, okay, yeah, bring your A game, JK. And so me and Ozzy were in there that day, and I had heard they had fed some of her content through my cans and other sessions prior to us getting together live. And she just was so in it that it was easy to operate off of her and work off of her. And then when we got in the room together, that was like sticking a brother and a sister who think each other are hilarious and constantly want to try and top each other and then undermine each other at the same time. That's the dynamic that we have. And we ended up having to actually redo a lot of those takes because we were just clipping each other, because we were on it. We're two really strong comedic actors. We both can improvise our butts off. And so we were going after. But to answer your direct question in a very long roundabout way, and feel free to cut me off because sometimes I ramble.
Well, that's good, because it gives us time to process the next question.
Yes. This is what we call filler. It's filler, right? Stretching. No, we started, like I said, in January. We just finished. I think we finished principal recording for the actual character, where it was a character lock, in April, because I took off to Toronto in May. So yeah, that was April of 2021 was the last day for Colt. And then we came back and picked up the trailers 2 days in August before I came back.
Okay. So the first question, so you answered part of that, but my friend over at Inside the Game, he has 3 questions. Well, one of them I already asked you about the PS5, but so he said, with everyone self-distancing, how did you bring a sense of connection with Juliana? The witty banter between the characters, it felt so believable. Now, you did say that you guys were in studio, but did you have to, during the pandemic, did you have to do any recording where you were just hearing her lines?
Yes, a lot. Not just her. Some of the visionaries that I would interact with, we did the exact same thing. They'd pipe their lines in. I'd hear them. They'd give me a couple different takes of what they did, and I'd give them variations based off those takes so that the responses were matching their content. And editors get in the bay, and then they piece together the performance that is the most seamless as well as entertaining and most dropped in and most lived in. So yeah, we did a lot of piped in streaming, like after the first couple of sessions, once the world changed and fell apart, everything was virtual. It was like this. I was in a booth and Bennett and the other producers were on the call directing me with the engineers, sometimes in the booth within the station with me, and other times not even there. It was just me in a booth. Hard to do in a bubble that isolated. As you know, actors, we thrive on connection. But I'm built different and I'm good. So I was able to make it work. I think it's still ideal to just have people together, but I was able to do it. I'm definitely able to do it. I mean, that's the job, right? Like, the job is bring this sucker to life. So, you know, we would do takes where, you know, we'll do triples, one line, the same line 3 times, and it'll drop in and each line will be different. And then I'll have an impulse to give another take, and Bennett will have started talking already, and I'll just keep driving through it to make sure that they've got it. And sometimes I'll have topped the performance, and some of those takes that are in the game are the takes that, you know, that I just kind of went, oh, there's an impulse. Like, hearing me say what I'm saying, stimulating something new to come forth. And that honesty and that truth had a little more pepper on it sometimes. And so we just go with it. So it was an interesting process. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. As an actor, I learned a lot. And I learned a ton about how games are put together. Because, like I said, I've done TV, film, and commercials and stage, but I have never really done a game that on this scale.
And then for like myself and Adam, we don't necessarily see that side other than getting to chat with people such as yourself. Like, we just see the end product, and it's you don't realize, like, I'll just use this as an example. Like, everyone's talking about Spider-Man 2, like, it's still 2 years out, but they have so much stuff that they have to do. But I mean, when the game does finally come together, like what you guys did with Deathloop and all this, we get to experience just a small portion of everything that you had to go through for the entire process. So my next question from my friend is, what's it like voice acting a video game character versus what you also do, such as live action and live performance?
Yeah, it's in many ways it's easier in many ways because you don't have to memorize a script. That's always nice. Which frees you up to play more. You don't perceive any one take as the take. You don't feel the pressure of the camera or the set or the crew. You don't feel the pressure of the star sitting in front of you where you gotta, you know, be on your game and can't make a mistake. And because all of that is time. And it's not that time in the booth is any less valuable. It's just the nature of creating video games is give us multiple choices as quickly as we can, and let's move on to the next bit of content. And then the editors will piece together the performance at the way we want it. On set, you know, you have all these other variables that you're managing as the actor in the space, but also trying to stay open. You're dealing with different personalities, different energy. And sometimes the person you're acting off of ain't interested in being there. You got to make it work. Sometimes when it's time for your coverage, they'll leave and go to their trailer. So you're acting off of a dot on a screen, on a wall, or off of a stand-in, which is fine. But that's the reality of what you're working in on camera, because you're just dealing with a different set of egos. So in many ways, it's easier. I thoroughly enjoyed the exploratory part of the process in doing games. I had an absolute blast doing it, and I'm really in love with that and animation in general. Like, this feeds my engine in a very specific way. Stage is totally different. You get one take one night, all the rehearsals, all your takes that we do, you know, the triples, all that happens in rehearsal. And then you get to the stage and you got one time to do it that way one night. And then the next show is going to be completely different. So the stakes are higher. And if you feed off of that, magic can happen, which oftentimes it does. Mistakes may happen on stage, and you got to fix it because you live, your audience is right there. With and that kind of segues me into audience response, because the audience response for this game has blown me away. I've never had this much interaction with enthusiasts for anything that I've done. You know, every now and then somebody will hit me up, yo, Jason, I just saw your episode of Criminal Minds and you got killed by the soccer mom again. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's funny. Cut the check. Hey, I just saw your Twizzlers ad. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting on the beach talking about Labor Day. Yeah, that's me. So, you know, other than I did a Super Bowl spot years ago in 2011, and that was a different thing. You know, 100 million people or 1 billion people worldwide see you, and your phone just starts vibrating for 3 hours because people are texting you. But, you know, again, that's a 30-second hit. I had no idea what to expect. Bennett kept telling me this thing's testing through the roof. Fans are really enjoying what you're doing. I'm like, okay, that's great. I don't know what that really means. Then I found out. And it's as close to stage as I've gotten in a medium that's not stage.
That's awesome.
And one of the reasons I love stage is because the impact is immediate. The response is present. It's right there. People tell you whether what you're doing they like or they don't, and you know, you have an interaction with people. You can meet people, and it's tangible. I really enjoy that dynamic of being a performer, because it's the gift that I'm giving, and for you to give it back to me, saying, "Hey, we loved how you made us move, or how you made us feel." Like, that's the point. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why, at least for me, I don't know why other people do what they do, but that's why I do what I do. I like making people feel something. So for what that's worth, I hope I answered that question.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, again, you're talking about commercials and everything. And this game itself is like, this is your first major, like I will talk about some other stuff, but this is your first like leading role. And it's like, again, Adam, whenever you get a chance, you got to play it. Like, if you have to wait a year for a piece to come in or to go on to the Xbox, or if it's it's on PC. If you have a good running PC, you should be able to play it. But it's just a blast. Like, it's just.
Well, let's see where this goes. Maybe after I can head down to Jason's, we'll set it up.
I actually think the first 10 minutes of play. No, there's the first 20 minutes of the game, somebody playing the game, is on YouTube. And so you can get a feel for where this whole story is going.
Yeah.
From that 20-minute clip, because I hadn't seen anything. I mean, I'd seen rough cuts, but I'd never seen all of it together. And I remember those days. I mean, the dialogue from those particular scenes, I remember them distinctly. And it's entertaining. I was sitting there going, okay, I know that's me, but this is entertaining, and that's a funny line. That shit was funny. You know, and it goes without saying. I say it all the time, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You know, acting is much easier when the writing is great and when it's really good. When it's not, it's work. When your script is awesome, you have to work, but you don't have to work as hard making something good. You're taking something great and you're just pouring your flavor into it.
And I think that's one thing that Bethesda in general has always done amazing with. Like, even a lot of people compare a Deathloop to Dishonored. Just the feel and this, like, well, you can play stealth if you want, you can go running and gunning, whatever you want to do. But every single Bethesda, Arkane, ZeniMax Studios that I've played, the writing is incredible. Like, it's and that on the gamer's aspect really helps, because if you're playing a game and the dialogue doesn't feel right, it doesn't make the game feel right at all. Like, if it's
right,
how you deliver, and like I said it before, every single line that you recorded was just on point. Like, it was so well done. And a lot of people share that same sentiment. Is the voice acting is probably one of the best of this generation. So it's and it all goes on to people like yourself that put everything that you have into this role. Because I mean, I did catch your interview with Dan Allen there, and we're the two of us were trying to figure out what it was that you had said you were with Troy Baker on, and we're like, oh, this is driving us nuts. So, and but I mean, obviously NDA, I would never go any farther, but it's like this role now will open the door for some pretty spectacular things, I think.
I certainly hope so. I mean, look, auditioning is part of the job, and I acknowledge that and I accept that. But there is a tier of performer, there's a threshold that once you break through that barrier, you're getting offers. And I know the difference between the two, and I know what it feels like. I have friends that nothing but offers. They don't have to audition much. And when they do, I could say they're going through the motions, but it's not that they don't give it everything they've got. They do. It's just they know that it's simply a part of the process to satisfy somebody along the way. But they already had the job. I'm game for that, because I've been, again, I've been auditioning and doing my craft for 17 years, and as you get older and you mature and you go through enough things and have enough experiences, you get to a point where you're going, yeah, no, today's price is not yesterday's price. That's straight out of Fat Joe's mouth. I mean, it's not yesterday's price. The actor I'm still the same actor. The actor I am today is the actor I was before Deathloop. But the treatment I'm getting today is different because of Deathloop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it'll probably be different because of Mayor of Kingstown. But I'm still the same performer. I'm still going to bring everything I've got to the project, right? And still be available for promotional and marketing and stuff like that. I'm still gonna be that guy. Mm-hmm. If you can remove some of the hoops that I have to hop through to get to the point where I can do what it is that I love doing, hell yeah. Give me that package, because I would rather just do the work than prove to you that I might be good at doing the work in a little snippet and snapshot of time where you go, oh, well, maybe they can, where I don't like his bald head or his beard, it's not fully black. Can he blacken it out? His forehead's kind of shiny. He's got a North Star growing on the forehead. And I just don't, and he reminds me of somebody I dated in college, and I don't like that motherfucker. Like, it's all that stuff, right? That you deal with in this game, and I get it. But again, there comes a point where you hope to break through the threshold. And I can only hope that the work on this project helps walk me more towards that. At the very least in animation and voiceover and video games. Because I really do love the work. And it's a lot of fun. And it boils down to, is that the voice, not all the other crap that goes with it. Is that the voice? Yeah, hire him, which it should be. That's what it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of that process, Jason, could you just kind of go through the motion? How did you fall into Deathloop?
Straight up audition. So, to that point, you can't shoot the audition. I'm not shooting the auditions. Like, that's part of the game. Mm-hmm. But this was a straight audition. In October of 2019. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how, because it was a project. It's called Project X or Project. This thing was called Project Flint. Yeah, Project Flint. You have no idea what it is. You have no idea the scale. Nothing. You're just flying in the dark. This is the character. These are the words. Bring your flavor. And immediately I went, oh, well, this guy's funny. I know how to do this. And I got the job because of that, because I was told that no one else really nailed Colt's sense of humor with his rugged kind of dangerousness that he has about it. And I don't know, it just jumped off the page, and I went, oh, I know how to do this, and I did, and I got the job, and lucked out, and here we are. You know,
it's amazing because, like we were saying, like as soon as the reviews came out, it's just 10, 10, 9, 10. Like everybody's just clamoring for the game, and
yeah,
like you're saying, I haven't yet played it, but I have seen quite a few of the clips online and some of the things, and like you said, it's the immediacy when he's just like waking up and just like, I gotta go through this again. Like, you know, it's just like the anger, but like, just like, if we're gonna do this, fine, let's do it. Like, you know, like he's just like, let's go.
right,
You
right.
know, and it's an amazing character. And like you said,
Yeah.
the energy you brought to it is outstanding.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, it was as you get into anything, you start going, oh, I understand who this character is, right? You start off with an idea and you start playing it, and then you get into it and you realize, oh, okay, I got it. Let me rewind. And with Colt, like I knew who he was immediately, but we had to fine tune and find him. Like I had to find him in me so that I could just dial him up whenever I needed to. And he's not that far from who I am. It's just he's going through something that I've never gone through. And then we started thinking about it because, you know, you got to start intellectually going, okay, well, wait a minute. The Colt that gets killed the first time is very different than the Colt that gets killed the 50th time and the 100th time and the time where he almost is about to break the loop and gets killed again and has all this knowledge. So the game became, for me and for Bennett, was, okay, which Colt are we talking about? What does he know? What doesn't he know? How many times has he done this? How over this is he? Like what kind of emotional state is he in? And you had to get real specific. And this is the particular area that actually helped me in my craft now on camera, is figuring out those details of specificity just so that I know them. Whether they are actually going to play out on screen or play out in the project or not, I don't know. And I've always worked to try and be more specific, but this helped me understand how Jason can find specificity in what he's doing. Whereas before I might have been a little general or kind of been aware of what I was saying or doing, but kind of not fully invested. Now I'm invested in a whole different way of operating. And I'm hearing it on all my auditions now. I'm going, oh yeah, that's way more specific. I can feel it. It really shifted a lot of things in the way that I work. And again, like the feedback, the fans have blown me away by their reception of the game, their willingness to comment about it on social media. What's his name? Kumail. I can't pronounce his last name. He's in the Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
He just tweeted about it today, saying how much he enjoys the game and how much he's enjoying it and liking it and this, that, and another. And I'm like, well, damn. Thanks, brother. Mr. friggin' Marvel superhero. We appreciate it. It reaches everybody. Like how often, that's the thing for me is, you know, you always want your content to reach a big audience, right? And as actors, you want people to know who you are for your work, period. Like that's it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are starting to recognize, at the very least, my work and my name's getting associated with it, that is, I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating it. It's just, this is, like I said, this is my first lead and this is my first starring role in a project that hit.
Yeah, and you can definitely see just in your emotions how like it means to you. Like again, you talk about a lot of people that do roles that they essentially just phone it in. Like so Adam, help me out. What's the word I'm trying to think of here? Like just the gratitude that you're showing towards the reception of the game. Like it's awesome. Like yeah. And I mean, and you should be proud of the work that you've done, because like Adam, you got to play it, man.
You got to play it, Adam.
So without spoiling anything for Adam, I know because there's 3 endings for the game. So Now, I did mention to you that I did have a friend who does amazing zombie work. So maybe the ending where your fate is left unknown. Maybe it's a zombie. Hold on. I gotta turn the light down.
Rob over Zombie Patriots.
Zombieportraits.com.
That's great. I said Zombie Patriots. Zombieportraits.com. That's great.
So,
oh man, that's insane. I've never seen myself zombified before.
If he could get a shout out from Colt, what I do is I edit the clips so that he uses those for his webpage. So
for real, yeah. Rob at zombieportraits.com, man. Appreciate the zombification. That joint is fresh. My wife ain't gonna let me put it up, but I'm gonna keep it somewhere because that is cool. And I'm gonna use it as my my headshot when I submit for a Walking Dead job.
or maybe some Deathloop DLC zombies.
Right?
That's awesome.
That's great,
awesome.
Man.
So I've learned not to trust the always IMDb, but Adam had actually brought this up. You were Doomslayer?
I am Doomslayer, yeah.
That's awesome. Like,
yeah.
Adam,
there was I think it was a recasting. I had no idea what was going on. I knew about Doom, but I had no idea really what was going on. And again, it was an audition. And Margaret Tang, the casting director, loved my voice. And they gave me the job. And I got in the booth thinking, oh, it's going to be a whole bunch more copy and there's going to be a lot of work. And great, I'm going to be lined up. I'm going to have another job lined up for another few years or a few months or whatever. And then I got the copy and it was like 5 lines because he doesn't say anything. So I was in this booth. We actually recorded all that here. Yeah, we recorded that from here. And very, very true story. It was a particular day where my voice was a little clearer, and so it was a little high. I was talking in this register, and I couldn't really hit the level I wanted. So I usually have a small bottle of bourbon in here with me, and so I gargled some Maker's Mark and wrecked my vocal cords, and then recorded the takes, and it came out. And so everything that you guys hear in that game as a result of me gargling Maker's Mark and frying my cords for like 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
Shout out to Maker's Mark. If y'all want to send me a bottle.
Hey, we'll start that here. We'll do the telephone game. We'll Maker's Mark, and then it'll end up being like a Johnny Walker Blue, like 120 ounce bottle or something. Something
insane. You never know with these things.
So have you been to Canada before, or was this your first foray?
Oh, no. So when I grew up in the Virginia area, and my brother was on a traveling soccer team, and I don't know if they still do this or not, but there was a tournament in Toronto called the Robbie Tournament years ago that we came back up. We were up there in the 80s when I was younger, and then I grew up also. My dad was military, so when I say I grew up in Virginia, I grew up all over the place, but grew up in Virginia. We drove up to the Robbie Tournament in Toronto and my brother played soccer there for a week. We lived in Maine on a former air base, Loring Air Force Base, which is now gone, but it's the site where it's in Limestone, where Fish, the group, used to have these big ass jam concerts a couple summers back. They had it on our old air base, and that was right next to was it Presque Isle, or is right on the eastern Canadian border of I guess is that Quebec. What's the province where Quebec is at?
It's next to Ontario, Quebec, and then PEI, Nova Scotia.
So yeah, it was Quebec. So we were right on the border. We were like 20 minutes from Quebec. So we were over there all the time. And then I did Aero shot in Vancouver. So I did about 3 weeks up there. So awesome. Been to Canada a few times. I love it up there.
I was going to mention that too. Dr. Jared Parker.
Dr. Jared Parker. What a nice guy.
Did you? Yeah, well, I was gonna say a person that's not extraordinarily funny by character compared to Colt.
Yeah, it's he's the absolute opposite of Colt. I actually, it's interesting. When your career first starting, at least the way I came up, and I've been coming up, like unless you come from one of the big schools or you're like a rising ingenue or it kid and star where they're going, oh, we're going to hang tons of money on this person and they're going to carry projects. You usually get typecast, right? And even when you're that person, you know, Hemsworth, he's typecast to a certain degree, right? Then there's usually a moment where you get cast left of what you normally get. And Jared Parker was actually that character for me because I never get cast that way. And the ironic thing about that is I'm friends with one of the writers of the show that used to be on the show, writers on the show. And he had submitted me for this project, for this role a while before we shot. And I never got a phone call from anybody. And he hits me up last minute. He's like, yo, JK, did you get an audition for this role? And I was like, no. He's like, what? Hang on. And you're like, okay, all right. Yeah. I'm not getting a phone call from this. I get a phone call about an hour later. My agent's like, yeah, you got an appointment tomorrow, this, that, and third. I go in. It's me, one other guy. I've seen this guy in so many things. I'm like, he gonna get it. He getting it. And turns out he did not. I got it. And it was, my friend opened the door, but I was in a space where I was like, let me go in here and do this work. And what's ironic was I just got jumped and gotten into a fight earlier that week and broke my hand. So I'm sitting in the interview, in the audition with a cat, like a wrap cast on my arm, like from my elbow to here. And they're loving what I'm doing, but they're going, what's going on with his hand? Can he remove that? So I actually shot that whole thing with a broken hand.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a trip. I was sitting there like, okay, this is happening. But it was a character that I normally don't get because I've not been offered opportunities where you're kind of a lead within a scene or on a project like that. That's the most work I've done. Steven was great to work with. The directors on that show are phenomenal. But it was one of those moments where I went, oh, that's right. You kind of bad, man. You kind of good at what you do. You've done the work, like you've done the work. And this is what comes out when you're given an opportunity. There's a lot of actors in this business that are never given the opportunity to really shine. And thank God I've been given some opportunities to shine. And when the opportunities are there, I'm at full volume. Because I've also been in those moments where I fell flat on my face and failed. And it hurts. It's humbling. It makes you want to quit. And I don't think I question how good of an actor is if they hadn't thought about quitting at least 15 times in their career. Yeah. Because I have. And I know great actors who have thought about it many, many times. And I think that's part of the process. But that's, me going tangential into a different part of the discussion. I don't want to over dominate it with philosophy.
I like that mindset. My wife and I would often discuss that too. We usually say, like, we've had a lot of things in our life, then some people would look at things differently and say, well, you're lucky. And we say, no, like, we've had blessings, but we've taken advantage of opportunities in front of us too. And sometimes that means putting yourself out there. Yeah. And you have to just be, brave enough, strong enough to take charge and take it and make something happen sometimes.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it does. Sometimes it boils down because I get asked this question all the time. How do you get started doing this? How do you do that? And I'm like, for lack of better terms, grab yourself by the sack and go do it and figure it out. Like there's no formula. There is no formula for the lane of business that I'm in. I can tell you so many stories of how people got on and got successful. There's no formula. There's just not. The one thing that won't work is staying wherever you live and not putting forth the effort into your craft and getting on stage or getting a mic and getting trained and start practicing and putting yourself out there as much as you possibly can and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Just get comfortable being out there. Nothing's gonna come to you. You got to go to it. Even the stories of people that like, I was standing in line and the agent turned around and looked at me because I'm beautiful. And they said, oh, were you an actress? Would you like to be in my project? Bullshit. Like that may have happened. I've heard Miss Theron tell that story, but she was prepared for that moment. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between going, oh, I'm gonna go stand in line at Starbucks because I'm fine and I want to be an actor versus I'm a dope ass actor. Let me go get this coffee before I go to this audition real quick. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm on my way to an audition. Here's my card. I'd like to represent you. Okay, whatever. Follows up on it, and then because you're good, you're ready for that moment. So, like, it's got to be really clear when we have those conversations about that. Is like it's not a magic pill that's being dropped somewhere and not a magic wand. You got to be prepared with your craft. And I don't know. I get really passionate when it comes to this because I've done a lot of work and I don't have formal training. I learned all my craft out here. I don't think it's feasible or possible to do that now in today's business model because just too much has changed. But anybody that's listening that wants to get into this craft and get into this work and buy a cheap microphone, get on Voices 1, 2, 3, find somebody anywhere to take classes, Google voiceover classes in LA. Everybody's teaching it virtually now. You don't have to be anywhere. You can be where you're at. You can have a career doing this stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And one job will change. One job can change your life. I don't know if I've had that job or not. So I'm just still doing the work. I'd like to think that I'm on my way to that though.
I would agree with that statement 100%. Like it's all about, again, the passion that people put into it, and you like exude passion. Like you can just tell how passionate you are about your craft just by how you talk about it. So it's really awesome.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Not a problem. It's not a problem at all.
Well, I mean, you better be passionate about something in your life, or nothing's going to happen in your life. You know,
well,
what I mean?
we've got this is a shameless plug, but in 11 days we're finally getting back to our convention. We my friend and I started one in 2015, and we had to take almost 2 years off. So, shaking off the ring rust because. Like we have to follow, obviously there's some procedures we have to follow now, and it doesn't sit well with everybody, but at the end of the day, it's like you said, you got to grab your sack and go for it.
Got to do it, man. You got to do it. And if things clear up, man, look, seriously, if you guys do it, I probably couldn't come up this year, but if you guys do it next year, I'll have another title that'll have dropped probably in February.
Is that the one that you talked about before, the sequel? No, it's all good. It's all good. No.
I mean, the trailer's running right. The trailer's out right now. They just dropped it recently.
Oh, well, then I'm gonna have to go recent video game trailers.
Yes, and February 2022. So that shouldn't be too difficult to narrow that down. But I'm just in the cinematics of that. I'm not the playable character, but there'll be a couple big titles, and it'd be great to meet your fans and meet your people.
For sure, absolutely.
Come up and do some signings and all that. That'd be a lot of fun. And give me a reason to get back to, because you're in Toronto, right?
No, so Adam, what are you, east of Toronto? Like Adam's in Sault Ste. Marie. Okay. I was in Sudbury, but now I'm even farther. I'm actually 40 minutes from Quebec. I'm up in Kirkland Lake now. So. Oh, okay, gotcha. Which if you're familiar with Alan Thicke, he's from Kirkland Lake.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Me and Alan are homies.
Yeah. Just BFFs.
Yeah. No, I dig it. That's all good. I mean, look, Canada, I learned so much. It's interesting. I learned so much about America my 3 months I spent in Canada. So much. And it was so refreshing. And I'm so glad I was there and grateful to have had conversations with people that have lived their whole lives there and share with me the perspective that you all have of the States and what's been going on in life in general. It's so refreshing to step outside of that bubble and go, oh yeah, that part. That's a more healthy way of looking at things. It was the first time I saw the Olympic Games from another country's point of view. That was so incredibly refreshing for me because I've been a fan of the game since like 1984. I've had a friend, one of my buddies from high school won gold in 96, and that was an experience. And I went to high school with Mia Hamm and watching her get hers. Like I have a close relationship close relationship by relation. I don't even know how I'm going to make that segue, but I've had a close relationship with that caliber of competition. And I love the games. And I watch how the states promote and talk about their expected winners and how they spotlight them, or they spotlight the person who's the loudest but actually doesn't perform. And then going to Canada and watching Canada, it's the story is that you guys, you're in the games. Let's talk about that. How do you feel? Yeah, the gymnastics team took 7th or 9th or whatever it was, but good God, ladies, what does it feel like having competed in the games? Like, how do you feel? And then they segue from that straight to the women that won, I think, silver in one of the rowing competitions. And it was so refreshing because they didn't care about the medal count. You guys didn't care about who was the superstar of the game or of the team. You cared about all these Canadian countrymen and women out there performing for the spirit of the sport. And I switch over to the US feeds and I'm going, oh my God, we've got it all wrong. Like these athletes don't owe anybody anything. And maybe we don't need to put as much pressure on them as we are and let them just go play their sport. Mm-hmm. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. Like, so what? We win constantly. And it can't just be about that. Like, they are the highest level of athlete in their particular field. And we only want to pay attention to people that are going to win gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It was refreshing. So even though I didn't get to meet y'all there while I was there, and I know I'm on a little rant, thank you for having that shit figured out because it was great.
Well, you're welcome to come back up anytime. Yeah. Bring your PS5, bring Deathloop, come on over.
I will.
So before we let you go, does Colt have anything he wants to say to the Nerdcast? I put you on the spot. I said I don't do that, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Does Colt have rutabaga? Loquacious? No, that ain't it. Sometimey? Bloom Farm? Bloom Bloom? Boom Boom. Nope, that's not it. You should get that. To the Nerdcast. Nerdcast. Break this fucking loop.
That's awesome. It's like it's
Northern Nerdcast.
I'm like sorry. You said, it's all good. I was gonna say it's like you said, there's not much of a difference between your voice and Colt, so it's not like you have to really get into the character.
But there's moments where he gets a little more guttural sometimes. Black Reef, there he is. You know, he's kind of got this thing about him that I don't know. Something about the Northern Nerd Podcast brings it out of him. Anyway, y'all get back to playing the game. I'm going to go see if Juliana's got her sights on me. It's a little, you know what I mean?
Just a little.
It's like a little. I don't know. It's like it's like a little tiny balloon sits right in the middle of his throat.
It's
It
a little
kind of
more,
expands a little bit that way.
I was gonna say it's a little bit more raw, a little bit more
Yeah.
edge on it. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's been at it for a long time. So
Yeah. A lot of fun though. A lot of fun. I love that character. I don't know if I'll get to use that voice anywhere else. Maybe in something on camera. I'm sweating. There's no AC in my booth. I'm not. You guys are not making me nervous.
No,
but
I'm in my basement, so
got it. Yeah, my booth is very, very warm. Unfortunately, I got to figure out how to put AC into this place because it just gets hot after a while.
well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. We'll let you go and get into your AC.
Yeah. Did you have any other questions? Were there any other questions from the fans before we boogie? I mean, because
I've asked.
I can field one more.
Adam,
okay,
why don't you close out the chat here?
I would like to ask, because you said you are a big fan of video games, animation, doing the voicing, but actually being on stage. What would you like to do? Is there a specific franchise or something you'd like to get into? Would you be interested in doing a Marvel? Would you be interested in doing like a DC hero movie? Anything like that? Do you have a piece of animation? Which
who would not want to be? If I could be a incredible villain in a Pixar movie, Katie Bar, like boom, that would be a slam dunk because I think Pixar's villains are phenomenal. I love Pixar content. Absolutely. I'm a Star Wars guy.
We're going to be chatting with somebody in a month that was in The Mandalorian, so I'm pretty pumped about that too. So,
oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm friends with Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best is one of my best men in one of my groomsmen in my wedding. So,
nice.
Just, Jar Jar Binks, and had a whole experience with that. And I'm friends with the young lady that played Sinister, the second sister, in the last Star Wars video game. Star Wars I would love. I would love if they go down the road of telling a Sith story, and I would love to play like an old school Sith Lord. Just come on,
you have
man,
the voice, absolutely.
Yeah, man, because they always, it was always a battle. If you notice in the first round of Star Wars, it was a very clear line between who's good and who's bad, right? Then we get to Rogue One and we realize, oh, the rebels do some dirty crap. They do some dark stuff for good reasons. And it had me thinking, I was like, well, what happens if there's some Sith that have a reason why they're fighting against the Jedi the way they're fighting? And it's not rooted in some sense of evil, so to speak, but in the same way, if you've seen Wicked, in the same way that Elphaba's character was doing things for her own reasons that were positive, but they just played out in a negative way to the masses, and it was spun on them. It was spun in a negative way. I don't know. I would love to go and do an origin story of like the first Sith and how he became. Oh, all day. All day.
I could even like, you have that that voice that I could see you, like, I've got a bunch of like the JRPGs and stuff, like I could see you as like a villain in that, like just you have those typical like over the top deep voice, like you said with Star Wars, like it's just,
yeah. And villains are the funnest to play. I mean, because no villain's bad just to be bad. Like there's a reason why they're doing it. And when you find out what their reasons are, it's usually driven by a good reason. Like there's a reason they're doing bad. And anywhere in those universes, I would love to play. And then when it comes to Marvel, God, like all these titles I grew up on, right? And I really haven't, Marvel for whatever reason just seems a little away from reality, from my reality. Because I don't have a six pack. I've got a daddy pack, but I'm working on it. But I don't know, man. I mean, I I would love to be in a Marvel movie, but I would want to be one of the powered characters. I don't know that I would want to be like an agent in some way. I would want to actually be somebody that got some dope ass power. And I don't know who that would be. And I've gone through the catalog. I'm like, I don't know who I identify most with. I love the Moon Knight character, probably more than most. And I always thought it would be interesting to play that character, but I'm looking forward to see what Oscar Isaac does with it. I could be down for being the Silver Surfer, even though I can't surf. But yeah, I mean, there's who wouldn't want to be in that universe? It changes your life, and it's a fun world to play in. So we'll see.
I loved watching like the Justice League cartoons that were coming up. And as soon as I heard Colt and just like that power in his voice, you right away to me, you were channeling Phil Lamar's Green Lantern, John Stewart.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that, and I just like, my God, like, and then later on in the seasons when they change it to Justice League Unlimited, he shaves the head and grows the beard.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, Jason, you could be.
Hey, if they said, Jason Kelley, we got a job for you, I'd have a trainer. I'd have a food prep service. I'd be at the gym for 6 hours a day, every day. I'd be like, wife, son, you're not going to see me for a while. Daddy's about to be fucking Green Lantern, and y'all are going to appreciate it. I would do it in a blink of an eye. Because I do know how to make that character dope. Like, I guess, I don't know. I write some, so I got some ideas on how to bring that character back and make him really interesting. But that's just, again.
Hey, man. Everybody, when you're blowing
anything's possible, man.
No,
anything's possible.
Everybody absolutely loves and adores the performance you put in here. The game, again,
Appreciate
awesome
it, man.
reviews. And we can't wait to see what projects you have coming out next.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we got some good stuff coming. I will be I don't know if you guys get Paramount Plus there, but there's a show called
Crave.
Might be on Crave. There's a new show called The Harper House. It's an animation, and I'm playing President Obama on episode 6, which comes out in the States tomorrow. I did a animation movie called Monkey Quest or Monkey Prince, depending on what they go with. But the writer of Smurfs 1 and 2 and Shrek 2 is wrote and directed, and J.K. Simmons is starring opposite of Adam and Devine. And I got to play a really cool character in that and recorded that while we were in Toronto. And that comes out whenever it comes out. And then SEAL Team is another animated movie from Triggerfish Animation out of South Africa. And star-studded cast. It's seals fighting against sharks. Really fun. And I'm playing a couple of the seals in there. I read for one of the leads that went to a different actor because I didn't have a name at the time that they knew, I should say. But I was invited to be a part of the looping group to do additional voices, and I got to do a lot of cool voices in that, which was a lot of fun. And I've got a couple of things in the tank that I can't talk about because I'm under an NDA, but good things are happening. Like the world changed. I had a son, and my career took off. So it's harvest time. A lot of seeds have been planted, and I don't know. I feel like I'm in the season of the Chinese bamboo tree. Chinese bamboo tree was. It gets watered for 9 years, and there's nothing grows above the soil because its roots are being developed the entire time. And then in 90 days, it grows 90 feet straight up, and it changes the landscape. So I say yes. That's a story that's been near and dear to my heart since I was in high school and college. And, I feel like I'm in the beginning of that season. So we'll see what happens.
So where can people find you on your social media?
On socials, it's Jason Kelley EY .jk on IG, and then on Twitter, on the Twitters, it is Jason Kelley EY _JK. And I'm saying that because people drop the EY all the time. It's just, they make it Jason Kelley and they talk to some dude in Tupelo, Mississippi, and it's not me. Ironically, though, there's a young guy, his name's Jason Kelley on Twitter. He's born like 91. He's a brother, and he hit me up going, yo, I didn't know I'm getting a PS5. I'm like, what? He's like, my name's Jason Kelley too. We had this old back and forth banter, which was great. He's hilarious. He's a very smart kid, smart young man, and I thought that was fantastic. It was great that he reached out and hit me up in that way. So Twitter's there. Twitter, to that point, prior to the launch, I had 20 Twitter followers, and now I have pushing up on 1,200 because of the game. That's why I'm really beside myself and humbled, because 1,200 people are happy about the work that I've been doing, and I appreciate that. And that's probably the best way to interact with me is over on Twitter.
Awesome. Well, we will let you go. You said you have a 1-year-old. You probably have to do some daddy daycare or something. But
I've been daycare all day long, man. My nanny's not here today, and I'm just like, oh my god, he didn't sleep last night.
The toughest job out of all.
Oh, it's the best work, but it's so, and he's an easy kid. It's just, whew, when he doesn't sleep, the day's long for me, and my wife's working in the other room, and I'm working right here, and my desk is right here. So we're both constantly working, and a friend just came by to kind of give us a third hand so that we can figure it out. But man, it's the best work I've ever done in my life. I know you're not supposed to say it, but he's the cutest kid. He's such a great light. And, you know, they say a baby brings a basket of bread, and my son brought a basket, the bakery, some recipes, and a whole lot of customers. And I'm appreciative of it. It's the truest blessing I've ever had in my life. And they can take everything else I've got, and having him, having a purpose and having a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, it makes it worth it.
Awesome. Well, it was great chatting with you. And again, thanks for responding, and all the best for whatever you've got planned, whatever's coming out. And hopefully once everything opens fully, we can definitely see about getting you into one of our shows and
be great,
take it from there.
That'd be great, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And well, you don't have an agent, so I'll have to reach out to you directly.
No, I mean, I have an agent. I have agents. I'm in the process of seeking new theatrical representation.
Oh, okay.
Just stuff's happening in the background, and it's just time to. I'm at that point where I'm going, okay, yeah, I got to find a single team member that can do all the work that I need done to get this career into a different position. Because I got. I want to live fancy. I want to live fancy, and you have to have opportunities to do that. So,
absolutely.
But that all aside, man, Northern Nerd Podcast. I appreciate you guys, Brad, Adam. Thank you so much for having me. Man, you guys go out there and live your best life. It's the only one we got.
Perfect. Well, thanks again. And if you have any other projects coming on, then you want to come back and have a chat with us, we've been more than welcome to chat whatever else.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something on the horizon that we'll be able to chat about at some point.
Awesome.
February 2022.
Well, I look forward to that, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.
Well, there we have it, everybody. Jason Kelley, Colt from Deathloop, and some unannounced projects. But no, that was fun. This is a lot of fun doing this. I love doing this. So
it truly is. He's I mean, you can tell there's a real passion there, and I mean, it's fun. It's an exciting time to be able to speak with Jason right now, because as he said, like the project's doing awesome. Things are climbing, and to be able to catch him right now in the height of it all is fantastic, because we know like everybody's seen gamers and just regular fandom, and this place sometimes it can just be such a toxic stink. And like right now, like really we're just, everybody wants to be positive here and happy, and he's given us all the reasons to be with Deathloop and his performance and everything. So really, again, like it's awesome to be able to help be here and cheer him on and get a chance to talk to him and watch good things happen to good people.
So now
It's
maybe
great.
you can maybe you can convince your wife to get you one for Christmas from the kids. just say, honey, it's for the kids.
That's right. That's right. Well, maybe Santa's gonna have to make one specific here, because they're sure are still hard to find. So
Well, on that note, I also wanted to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel. I've mentioned to Adam before, went from, I don't know, it was like stagnant for a while. It was at 50 and then went up to 70. Now I'm just shy of 100, and I want to get to the 100 so that I can customize my channel name so it doesn't have like 30 characters in the end of the channel name. So thanks all for tuning in. And yeah, the Northern Game Expo, Sunday, October 17th from 12 to 5 at the Crusoe Club. Adam and I will be there. We'll try to get something going. But yeah, money is going to be spent.
yeah, it's exciting. Again, just so thankful we can actually do these things again and get out and see everybody and see you guys at home at the event. It's going to be fantastic. We're really looking excited to be there.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thanks for jumping in on the Nerd Chats. That's the new channel, not the channel name, but the new playlist that I've got going. So we've got some exciting chats coming up. Again, we do have Paul Sun Hyung Lee, who was Appa in Kim's Convenience. He was Carson Teva in The Mandalorian, and he even goes as far back as Jung Park in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. So he has had some voice acting. We also will have Philip Roche on at some point. He's been extremely busy with his projects. For those of you who aren't aware of what he is or what he did, he was the Constant in the new Hitman World of Assassination trilogy. So he was the villain, and quite possibly one of my favorite antagonistic roles for the new gen or current gen systems. I'm really looking forward to chatting with him, and Drew will be in on that one with me and possibly you if Clayton wants to come. If you've played any of the new Hitman, you know what the Constant or who the Constant is, and how he's like just pulling all the strings to try and lure Agent 47, who was episode 1 of our Northern Nerd Chats. David Bateson was a phenomenal person to chat with about that. But now it'll be great to have that villain side about what drove him into becoming the Constant. So I'm really looking forward to that chat as well. We will end it here. If we have any other chats pop up between now and November 6th, which I'm actually going to be trying to set up a live with Paul, just so if people have questions, it'll be on YouTube. I have to figure all that stuff out, but we will end here. Thanks again for everyone tuning in. Adam, pleasure as always. I will see you, if I don't chat with you beforehand, I will see you on the 17th.
You betcha. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Brad.
Take care.